What's up, guys? As you know, this week Fortnite added a new aiming mechanic for controllers called gyro aiming. Essentially what this aiming is, it allows you to use your controller itself to do micro and macro movements. Now I know you might not know what that is, so I'm going to show you. So we're going to hop in creative real quick and test it out. Alright, so I did turn on the hand cam for you guys so you can see kind of the movement I'm doing while I try this out. But first, let's look at the settings and I'll show you what each setting does for gyro aiming. Okay, so the touch of motion has its own tab now for gyro aiming actually. And as you can see, you can toggle it on and off. So you don't have to use it at all. It's just an option and you have a lot of different, settings for it, but we're going to talk about the basic ones and then talk about why you might want to use certain ones. So as you can see, I have mine set to scope or aiming, which essentially just means if I'm like in on a sniper or just aiming in with like normal ADS while shooting at someone, it's going to let me use the gyro aiming, and we're going to see what that is in a minute. And then also for editing, I have it set to where when I edit, I have the ability to use my controller as well. Now, what these other settings are is essentially the sensitivity of it. So essentially, like, it's at 1 right now. So, I'll have probably a pretty smooth feeling to the movement. But if I turn it up, I'll be able to move faster. So maybe once you get used to it, or if you don't think you have enough hand movement to be able to do so, which I don't have a ton. So if I were to actually use this, I probably would turn it up. But for now, we're just going to leave it at 1. And then also you have the ratio. It's just like, obviously, maybe if one way is easier for you to turn than another, you might want to have the ratio higher or lower depending on that. And then, it has acceleration to it, which that might not be bad. I'm not sure if that's good or not. I mean, depends. Kind of like, you just kind of have to try it out for yourself. The flick stick, if you watch the video, flick stick essentially means that if you have this turned all the way on to where you're using it all the time, is you essentially can rotate your stick and it'll flick you in that direction. If you like flick around your stick, it'll automatically turn you that direction like that, and you'll instantly be looking that way. So I'm going to start off with really basic settings that I have now, and then we're going to change them around and try out different things. So really, as you can tell, if I move a controller right now, since I only have it set to aiming in and editing, nothing happens. But as soon as I aim in, you can see that I can move it, left, right. It's very responsive, and I mean, the fact that we used to make fun of people, or I know people that used to be made fun of for doing this with the controller when they played a car game, and now it's like an actual thing that you can do, is crazy to think about. All right, so if you're wondering what the benefit of using this is, the major benefit is for, obviously, a main issue on controller is trying to track somebody. Maybe if they're doing like little small movements, it's hard to track back and forth, maybe because there's a dead zone on your stick that will, give you a delay time to aim to follow them while tracking. But the gyro aiming allows you to follow them perfectly back and forth, so now there's no delay. You just instantly follow them like on a mouse. This is huge for controller players because one of the major issues was the fact of the dead zone when looking back and forth and trying to track somebody, but now it totally takes that out. And if you get good at this, you can have an absolute laser and be even as good as someone on mouse and keyboard is. Now let's take a look at the editing and see if it's really worth it to even try out. So I'm going to build my wall here. Take into account, I do not play controller regularly, so it's not going to be super smooth in the first place. But anyways, so I have it, and I can just, to be honest, that's not bad. I mean, if you get decent at this, it might be worth it. If you have it set to good settings, like, it might be worth it for you. If you just, like, if you struggle to, like, do one of these edits, as you can tell, like, I'm not that good at this, but I'm more used to, the normal style, so I can kind of do it. But, like, if you can get used to dragging it with your thing, it might be worth it for you. Or if you're kind of like a hybrid player, this might be a method for you to like not have to play hybrid, or just be able to stick with the controller and just know how to use it. But definitely, it's something you're going to want to mess with the settings for because it's kind of complicated. Off rip, it's not going to be natural. Nothing is. It's almost like adding, paddles to your controller for the first time, or maybe switching to claw or something. It's not going to be normal to start. But I definitely think players are going to be able to do some crazy stuff with this. People are going to have insane aim while using this. And I just think it's totally cool that controller players now can kind of feel what it's like to have, a constant movement that's not limited to just their, thumbstick. All right, now let's go to settings and turn on the flick stick and see what that's about. Oh wow, so now there's even more settings just for flick stick itself. So I'm not gonna do anything crazy right now. I'm just gonna turn on the basic stuff and see what it's like. Yo, you can full 180 with one flick while doing this. Like you like so and also if you want to still look left and right, you just gotta hold it that direction and then just like kind of drag it across. 'Cause you can still 180, do the linear movement that mouse and keyboard can't. You can still spin in a circle, but you also can now flick around and you can make it to where it's like faster and more sensitive. So the only thing I'm confused about is I think when doing this though, you do have to have gyro aiming on all the time because as you can tell, I now can't look up anymore when doing stuff. But I think you have to have it on all the time. But just for the fact of just trying it out, the fact that I can just flick 180, I mean, imagine you're aiming this way, you get shot in the back, and you can just immediately 180. And look, I didn't even have to unaim. I literally was just able to immediately 180. I mean, you could just flick on people insanely well, and this is easier than flicking on mouse and keyboard because you don't have to move anything. You just flick the stick, and now you're aiming the other way. Flick to the side, you turn 90 degrees. Flick to the other side, and then you 180. 180 and 180, and just flick to the side. You can look any direction just like that, and that's huge for controller players. Absolutely huge. Now let's talk about if you should try out gyro aiming or not. I definitely think if your aim is lacking or you think you want to unlock a potential next level to your aim, your mechanics, I definitely think you should try out gyro aiming. I personally think if you're already pretty good at the game, the only way gyro aiming is really beneficial to you might be for the little micro aiming. So you just use it for when you're scoping in with a gun. And then you can just turn it off for everything else. You can make it to where only the aim in. I mean, maybe you'd want to try it for the editing, but I think the main thing is for tracking people. And I definitely think it's worth it to try it out because I definitely think it's a plus. I don't think it's really going to take away from much to be able to do that. This is going to change a lot for people. This is like a new era of aiming, a new era of skill that Fortnite is opening up to controller players, and I think this might draw some people to controller over keyboard and mouse because now they have the ability to track people much better. It's crazy to see the future of gaming coming to the forefront. I mean, the fact that you literally can turn your controller to be able to aim is just insane. I mean, this is like next level stuff. I mean, we're just entering a new era of gaming in doing this. And I'm super excited to see what it entails. I hope to see some future pros using gyro aiming. I can't wait to find out who the first pro I should say on gyro aiming is. That person probably would get a lot of clout for being that person. And I'm excited to go against the people using it. So with that being said, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you're not subbed already, don't forget to hit the sub button, hit the bell so you know when I post my next video, and I'll catch you guys in the next one.